You probably know by now that Jonas and Sophie Turner are headed for divorce, so I thought that it would be a good time for us to look at their human design charts and maybe examine what the heck is going on. In case you're new here, my name is Fani. I've been a human design analyst since 2018. I specialize in emotional intelligence, and I read hundreds of charts. And one of the biggest reasons that people come to me is to discuss how they can be a better partner or how they can attract their best partner. So let's dive into Jonas and Sophie Turner. So Joe is a 5-1 emotional manifesting generator. The thing about being an emotional authority is that if you do not consciously work on emotional intelligence and understanding the difference between having an experience of an emotion and needing to react or do something about it, you're gonna just, your life's gonna be a mess. I haven't had the chance to look at either of his brother's charts yet, but something that I have seen in a lot of emotional authorities and even my own experience as an emotional authority is that if you do not learn how to become an effective communicator of your emotions and learn how to not suppress them, but just respond to them in a different way so that we're not reacting to them and imposing them on everyone else around us. If we're not conscious of that stuff, like Jonas probably isn't, most people aren't, then it's going to create this energy where people feel like they need to fix the thing, whatever it is that he's bitching about, so that they can release the tension in the room. Now, looking at the transits and seeing what's going on right now, I did think that it was pretty interesting to see Mars is in gate 18, because what that does is it fills the channel of judgment for Joe. He's got his Saturn in 58. He also has his design Uranus in 58. And so what this says to me is that he seeks an unrealistic picture of what a marriage or a perfect family looks like. This potentially stems from a relationship with his father or his relationship to fatherhood in general. I personally suspect that there's some dissonance in what the roles are for each partner as a parent. And I wrote this out before I did any research on their situation or what specifically has been said. And so I thought it was really fascinating to see a lot of these quotes out there about how his complaints are that he's been taking care of the children and that she's been out partying or she hasn't been around enough or whatever that means to him. Okay, so then we have Sophie Turner. She is a 2-5 sacral manifesting generator, though she does have quite a few little placements going on over there in the emotional center. She does not have the emotional center defined, therefore she's not an emotional authority. What that does mean, though, is that she is an emotional empath picking up on a lot of the frequency that her husband, or soon-to-be ex-husband, has been putting out there. Right now, she is really making all of these line 5 projections work for her. She's keeping quiet. She's letting people rally behind her, coming to their own conclusions based on tabloid gossip, what Hollywood experts are saying, and their own experiences likely with emotionally toxic men. Again, looking at the transits, I couldn't help but notice that though she's not quite there yet, Sophie is in her Saturn return era. Gate 55, where her sun is in the sign of Pisces, and that's where Saturn is right now. We also have Neptune retrograde in gate 36, and that is where her Saturn is. And so this is a radical, is that all there is kind of moment happening for her. The rose-colored glasses have come off and she's realizing just how much of herself she sacrificed for this relationship to work. So she's seeing this window to escape in what was likely just another one of Joe's temper tantrums, and she took the chance to make a graceful exit. Then looking at their connection chart, I saw a couple of things that piqued my interest. You can see in this chart here where there's half of a pink line and half of a purple line. What we're seeing here are energetic connections. If you've ever met someone and felt a spark, it literally might be something we could see in their design. So 2 of the sparks that we see when we look at Sophie Turner and Jonas, the first one is the channel of emoting or the channel of romance. Joe actually has this full channel. He's got it with his design Mars and his design North node, where Sophie, as we mentioned, has this as her personality sun with 55. Now, with 39 being Joe's core wound, this was something that's imprinted in utero. This is a deep, deep shadow of pain and hurt that he's got to work really hard to transmute. And the shadow here is provocation. I'm not sure that this is like fully the end for them. And if it is, that's fine. But definitely Sophie was really important to Joe's like transformation here on a soul level, because that's where his design north node is over in 55 line 2. That's exactly where her sun is. So how this translates to me is that there's a likelihood that Joe saw Sophie as a cure for his emotional isolation. But when the day-to-day monotony of quiet motherhood wasn't enough for Sophie, and of course it wouldn't be with her life's work being in gate 55, the gift of freedom, he saw this as a betrayal of how he views what family should look like, or how it is supposed to operate for success. The other piece that stood out to me is their connection in the channel of mating, or the channel of fruitfulness. This is gate 59 and gate 6. Now, again, Joe has the complete channel here. He's got this in his design south node and his personality Venus. Where for Sophie, this is just her personality earth, or her breakthrough evolution sphere. 59, the shadow of dishonesty, this is Sophie's challenge. It's in opposition to her life's work, and so that means that she's got to figure out how to achieve freedom while balancing intimacy. That's the gift of 59. Now, with 6, the shadow being conflict, this is Joe's IQ wound. This is wounding that imprinted sometime between the ages of 14 and 21. These are really important years in his early career. We know that a lot of child stars in this era were grossly controlled by their parents, managers, producers, etc. Side note, I've been doing a lot of research on celebrities lately and their charts, and I noticed that a lot of child stars have this channel, the 59-6. Anyway, so for children to succeed back when Joe was coming up, they had to create a squeaky clean brand and fall in line. It was all like virginal and shit, like kind of creepy, honestly. And so those who fought back were cast aside. The concept of collaboration and mutual respect are in full opposition to this experience, and so he's still operating according to this program until he figures out how to have a more diplomatic approach. Diplomacy is the gift of gate 6. The human design tells me that this was a karmic relationship for the two of them to have an opportunity to heal and grow into better versions of themselves. My hunch is that to appease Joe and or to avoid conflict, Sophie learned how to tell little white lies to keep the peace in the relationship. And my guess is that Joe found out about one or more of these, and it was just like a tantrum to end all tantrums. And that's where the breakup happened. And Joe, Sophie, wishing both of you all the best, wishing your children the best, and hoping that this split is as amicable as can be. I've got more celebrities on the lineup, but I'm still curious. Who do you want to know more about? Let me know in the comments and follow for more.